Cumberland School Committee joint meeting of the Fiscal Subcommittee and the Cumberland School Committee to order Wednesday, May 5th at 6:18 p.m. In accordance with Governor McKee's Executive Order 21-40 dated April 28, 2021, the Cumberland School Committee intends to conduct this meeting remotely. The public can participate in this meeting remotely, but not in person by calling area code 312-626-6799. The webinar ID is 916-2612-8453. Or if you'd like to join us on the Zoom platform, please go to the Cumberland School Department's events calendar and you'll find the link there. And the password is 613132. So I believe we do certainly have members from the public here. I see Mrs. Malcolm is here, Mr. Jesus, among others. So I would say that we were in compliance. I need approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Fiorello.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it 6-0. Thank you. All right, so we have three resolutions for the fiscal and full committee to deal with tonight. First is SC. Get my hand here. 1, 2. Here we go. Okay, so we have SCPR 5/2021-10 HVAC ductless split unit for the server room at the North Cumberland Middle School. This was previously sent over before our last meeting. It didn't make the agenda. It's a resolution authorizing and empowering the school committee to execute a purchase agreement with Automatic Temperature Controls of Cranston, Rhode Island for replacing the ductless split unit at the North Cumberland Middle Schools with an amount not to exceed $8,020. The actual bid amount that we have here, there are two numbers for this item. The first item is $6,329. And if the Freon lines that the refrigeration lines are good and they do not need to be replaced, that'll be the amount. If the Freon lines have to be replaced, the total amount of the budget will be $8,020. The finance department did get a couple of quotes for this. One we got local as well. Arden is the name of the company in Cumberland. Their price was $13,889. Automatic Temperature Controls is also on the state bid list as well, so they're an approved vendor. And again, this is for North Cumberland Middle School. Mr. Chandler's been able to, from what I understand, leave the doors open to the room. They'll get that hot air out. But since school has gone back full time, we're not able to leave the doors open like that. And so the split units that there now needs to be replaced. And that's about it. Do anyone have any questions in regards to this?
Chair.
Go ahead.
Or
Mr.
Chair, I don't
Fiorello.
know how this is
Yep.
working. Will, how old are the line sets that are currently there?
I believe Mike and I were looking at the old bid. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 13 years old, Mike.
Yeah, it's in that ballpark. 12,
Yeah,
13.
the only thing I would say is I would recommend replacing the line sets because with that age, the fact that generally they're soft tubing, it could save us problems down the road if we replace them now. But I leave that up to Will.
Anyone else have any questions in regards to this? The funding for this is going to come from the facilities budget. So no one else has a question in regards to it. So I need a motion to approve SCPR 5/2021-10, awarding it to Automatic Temperature Controls at Cranston in an amount not to exceed $8,020.
A motion to approve.
Who made that? Mrs. Smith made the motion,
Thank you.
and the second
Second,
by Mrs. Rogalowski. I gotta put my eyeglasses on. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it 6-0 with Mrs. Feather still absent from this meeting. All right, that's the first one. And thank you. All right, the next one is SCPR 5 2021-11 Security Enhanced Project at the Cumberland High School. It's to be awarded to ADS Construction of East Providence to renovate the rooms at the high school for the new security entrance. The amount of the project is $262,500. There was a letter in the folders tonight and sent here by Mr. Adams in regards to the selection of the second lowest bidder, I believe it was. And I'll let Mr. Prignano expel what it was all about. Go ahead, Mr. Prignano.
Good. Thanks, Paul, and good evening, everyone. Do you have my letter, Paul, that was sent out also?
Yeah, it was emailed to
Okay.
everyone.
Well, yeah, you just mentioned Steve's, and I wanted to make sure you had mine where I wrote to the committee to explain why
Right,
I felt we should go with the second low bidder for the work we're doing now.
right,
This is a project, that we wanted to get done, but couldn't fit in the budget last year when we put the budget together. And so we just concentrated on the outside and the gates. But with some of the things that have gone right for us this year with getting COVID money, getting a lot of supplies that we thought we might have to buy being provided by the state. We have some additional money in the budget that we'd like to spend to get this project done. We think it would be a big addition to the security at the high school. It would probably keep all but 10% of the people coming in. 90% of the people, according to the principal, come in for these two reasons: special ed and guidance, which we would locate in this area. On the bids, we bid this out. We had 8 bidders, and on the entire project, ADS actually was the low bidder by about $13,000, $320 to about $34,000. But this was a complicated project where we had a number of alternatives for air conditioning and carpeting and replacing ceilings or whatever. With all the alternatives put in, ADS is still the low bidder, and we may want to at some point do the whole project, right? They were the low bidder, 356 to 366 change. But at this particular time, we want to award it without the HVAC portions because we want to make sure we have enough money to balance our budget. So when you just award for that portion, the nationwide becomes a low bidder by about 5% or about $14,000. But if you read my letter, you see a number of reasons why I thought we should go with ADS. The price was so similar, and if we do the entire project at some point, ADS actually will be the low bidder. As far as references were basically based on whether you meant the 10% requirement for minority hiring, and both vendors did. Matter of fact, a number of the vendors did, but both these vendors did. And then the last piece of it was projects completed. And so I reviewed them all, as well as Mr. DeJesus and the superintendent, Mr. Mitchell. And I think we all felt that the list of projects that ADS had taken on, or at least had given us as projects that they had worked on, were all school projects, which means familiarity with rides, familiar with rides, regulations, or the rest. Nationwide projects, none of them were schools. And I think Will even checked their website, Will, and you saw a number of projects, but you weren't able to find any school projects, I think you had told me.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. And so for that reason, we just thought it was a safer bid to go with ADS. Also, ADS is actually in the same corridor doing the entranceway to the new entranceway at the high school right now. To have two vendors in the same area would be a little bit, I think, hectic, a little bit difficult. And so you'd have to put Nationwide off for several weeks, probably 3 or 4 more weeks before ADS finishes, where ADS, if they get the project, they can start it, as well as working in the front entrance, they can go, start working in the rooms as well. So that was my logic and my reasoning. And I think the superintendent supports that, and I'll try to answer any questions if there are any.
Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Alex, is there funding that potentially could be available with any of the ESSER funds that could come in where we could then go back and amend this to award them to finish the whole thing
Yeah, I think
on the table?
I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure the ESSA 3 funds are going to have the ability to do capital projects and that sort of stuff in them. I
Right.
think they're going to be, so I think, we may go back and want to finish the entire project at some point. I just didn't want to bite off more than I could handle right now.
Right. So if we start this project though, and we award this, and we are able to use ESSER 3 funds for anything on the construction basis or improvements, which this certainly would fit into it, because I think that the future goal is to perhaps even have the pre-K at the transitional, which means that this would have to happen at some time anyways.
Right.
So I'm just concerned, if we're budgeting for this now and we're planning for it and we're voting on it, will it impact the use of those funds to say, no, that was something you already have ongoing and we cannot touch it because we had other things happening that was already part of our budget? So that's the only concern I'm wondering about.
No, I think you'll be able to do I think you'll be able to do the additional capital project. If we get some information, sooner before this project is complete and we pay for it, maybe we'll use it. Maybe we will use some ESSA funds to do the whole project. We may be in a position as we get closer to the end of the year where we see just through our own general fund budget, we can afford this and complete it. So
Okay.
I thought there were a lot of reasons for possibly going with ADS, and that's
Well, I
what
think the reasoning is
recommend.
fantastic, and especially the fact that Nationwide hasn't been involved with these school projects, as you stated.
If they have, they
certainly
didn't list any for us to review, so.
Right, right. But that is a big factor in it. So I appreciate all the work that everyone's done on this. I was just trying to see if there's a possibility that we're going to be able to save within our budget if we have an opportunity to use the ESSER funds and apply it in that respect.
Right.
So thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Pignano in regards to this? I don't see any. So they had eight people came out and bid on the project. The
Right, I
letter
sent
have
you
from,
Sent you the bids.
right, you sent us the bids. You have the letter from Mr. Pignano in regards to the reason for going with ADS versus Nationwide. You saw, I believe, a letter from Mr. Adams as well in regards to this. So we've had it reviewed by council. So I would need a motion to approve awarding of the bid to ADS in the amount not to exceed $284,700. No, I'm sorry, $262,500.
Right.
All right, and be coming out of facilities money as well. Need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Collins,
Second.
second by Mrs. Smith. Any further discussion in regards to this matter? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it 7-0. Mrs. Feather is back in with us. And the
Sorry about
third-
that.
It's all
Thanks.
right, that's fine. And the third item we have here tonight is SCPR 5/2021-12. It's the playground repair at Garvin Memorial School to be awarded to Ulti Play Park and Playgrounds of Uxbridge, Mass. In an amount not to exceed $7,010. The swing up there is cracked and cannot be safely used, and this will come out of the facilities report, but I do know we were going to make a request to the mayor to see if we could use impact fee money to pay for this and any other repairs that may happen on playgrounds, because like I've said in the past, with the school children out there in the playground, they're not out there with utility knives and hatchets and cigarette lighters and trying to burn the playground down, not with teachers around, that's for sure, and staff. And so the damage is happening after school is closed for the day, evenings, things like that. So I think it'd be a good thing for the town's impact money to be used for, and hopefully the mayor will see to it, because that's $7,000 that, we weren't expecting to spend. So that's where it stands. The labor $1,380. So again, this was brought up on a Facebook posting not too long ago, and I brought it to the facilities director's attention. So anyone have any questions in regards to this one? Mr. Fiorello and Mr. Pignano. Let's go, Mr. Fiorello.
Mr. Prignano, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, the superintendent and I met with the mayor today on on his budget submission. Thought we had a good meeting. We talked about a lot of different things, but one thing we weren't very successful on is the mayor is saying that the charter in Cumberland only allows impact fees to be used to retire debt service. So I've seen it in places where impact fees are able to be withdrawn and repair ball fields or that type of stuff that get used from, people moving into town, that sort of stuff. But in Cumberland, apparently, it can only be used for debt service. So the impact fees would not be available for this. So I just wanted to, we all hoped that we could go that route, but I just wanted to clear it up for people.
Yeah, I know that we've had this issue over the past 10 years that I've been involved. There's always been some confusion as to what impact fees can and cannot be used in town, both at the council level and through the public. I do plan on sitting down with the mayor about playgrounds to see if we can work something out. He has in the past said that he's much more, that he's very, very willing to work with us to try to make something happen. The playground at Garvin, this slide has been an issue for a while. Originally, it wasn't a problem right away because of the COVID. We weren't allowed to use the playground, and then it became obvious that the children were going to be allowed to go back to using it. Plus, ESY, the extended school year services by the special education department, are going to be at Garvin this summer, and it would be best to have that slide in place. It's expensive. Yes, it's also being retrofitted because of the age of the equipment. And Mr. Jesus has made his case for making the vendor actually install it properly. It'd be much easier. So I fully support this. And I'll make a motion to approve it.
Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to approve. Any further discussion, Mrs. Smith?
I'll second with discussion.
Go
However,
right ahead.
we talk about it being the slide, but then we also use the word swing in this resolution. So if you look at whereas, it says the swing is cracked. So should that just say slide?
Should say slide, correct, Will?
Yeah, yes, it's the slide.
Right. So we just need to fix that in this, and with that amendment, I would approve.
All right,
Oh,
so,
I'm sorry.
uh,
There is actually some kind of town ordinance that puts the playground maintenance on the shoulders of the school department. So we have that to deal with as well.
Mr. DeJesus, can you get a bid for like 15-foot high fences around the playgrounds?
I'll work on it tomorrow.
All right, so we have, this has to be amended to correctly to say the slide is cracked, so it cannot be used safely. So we have a motion by Mr. Fiorello, second by Mrs. Smith. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Well, go ahead, Mr. Collins.
Hi, Claire. This may have already been answered, but there was a police report filed with the vandalism.
I have no idea.
Okay.
And so, and just actually for, I'm sorry, for reference with the vandalism of the slide, I know that that's happened with several schools. I know Cumberland Hill had quite a bit of vandalism as well. And they had, I believe, if my memory serves, they had police reports filed and everything, but unfortunately, there's not a lot that can be done. People do call when they see people there after hours at any of the schools, but at the end of the day, we can't really prevent it.
That is correct. We do call the police department whenever there is vandalism, and there isn't really much that we can do about it.
Okay, any other further discussion?
Excuse me, Mr. DeMonica.
Go ahead.
Can we make a insurance claim from vandalism or no?
Mr. Pignano, what would our
Yes, you-
deductible be?
Well, it's not it wouldn't be $7,000. I don't believe. I don't know if we have, for items like that. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I have to pull the policy, but I don't think it would be worth it.
Are we sure this is actually from vandalism and not just, I mean, that playground I know at Garvin takes a beating. It gets used a lot and it's got to be a dozen years old at this point.
Yeah, but where would we find money to replace it, Mr. Fiorello, if we did? I remember the town council years ago doled out $5,000 to each PTO group to get playgrounds in place.
No.
So-
Right. I'm just wondering if the slide has actually been vandalized or if it's just from overuse and just from use and age.
No, I think
It doesn't really look like it's worn that much. It's
right,
kind of like,
it's the hole.
a slit, like it was slit.
Okay, any other further discussion on that one? On favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Next is Mr. Fiorello. You ready for this one, Mr. Fiorello, the G6?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and explain it?
Very simply, we needed to update G6 for the salary to make sure that the salary ranges were in conjunction with what we were actually paying people.
Yeah.
Mrs. Duncanson also took the opportunity to clarify a bunch of language, as well as including stipends and other additional monies that are paid to some of these contracted workers. I will let Mrs. Duncanson, though, go on because she's the one that did all the work on this policy.
So most of the changes that are in yours, they're all color coded, are to bring the policy in compliance with the Educator Accountability Act, which empowers the superintendent and principals to do the hiring for school staff. And the policy that you previously had passed, G10, allows the superintendent to set the compensation and benefits and terms of employment as long as it's in line with G6, and it specifically references G6. So to do that, we added the assistant superintendent, which I think was purposely left out of this policy in the past, but in order for the superintendent to have the authority to contract for the employment of the assistant superintendent, we added that. We also added the facilities manager, which is a new position for the district within the last year. And we took out the preschool administrator because we've put that into the bargaining unit, the teacher's bargaining unit as a coordinator position. Contracting authority is really relative to the Educator Accountability Act, and it empowers the superintendent to enter into the contracts for terms of employment. Some of the other language was just clarifying so that new employees were clear about the benefits that they are entitled to. There was some hired before, hired after language that was not specific in there. And there was some confusion with new employees as to what benefits they were entitled to, specifically with life insurance. So I clarified that, and then added the assistant superintendent and facilities director, facilities manager in those lines as well to make their compliant. So there was additionally a typo, which just was a missing R. So contact versus contract, right before in the mileage stipend language, right before the salary range table. Salary ranges are self-explanatory. This is just adjusted up for the current ranges of our staff. And then finally, the additional language regarding stipend or bonuses for these employees, and that it needs to be memorialized actually in the contract. Right now, that's not the way it has been done, and that the school committee would need to approve it in accordance with that contracting authority, because it would put those employees over their approved ranges of G6. So those were all the changes in quick summary.
Okay.
Thank you. She did that much better than I could have. So unless there's any other questions, I will make a motion to approve.
Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to approve the new G6 personnel benefit policy for non-unit and support personnel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Smith, go ahead. I see you want to raise your hand for a discussion. Seconded by Mrs. Fedler. Go ahead. Was it Amy that seconded it? No, it was Carrie.
Carrie.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, no problem.
Mr. Fiorello, within the policy and procedure folder, it's the non-updated G6 prior to the adjustment that was made from Katie last evening. So the one that we are approving is the one that's in the special committee folder, right? The special.
That is
meeting.
correct. The one
I
in
just want
tonight's
to
folder is the
ensure
correct
that
version.
everybody is on the same page with that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have any questions in regards to the G6, Mrs. Friedman?
I think, Katie, it looks like these were all adjusted at what, 2.5% maybe, where the salary ranges kind of evenly adjusted like that?
So before I got here, I think this is probably during the gap when you didn't have a HR director. The contracts were provided for the 2.5% raise for all G6 employees for the 2021 school year, so the year that we're currently in. And those were approved by the school committee because it was prior to that change in the law. So what the updated ranges cover are the 2.5% to those salary ranges. Now, not everybody is at the top of those ranges, but there were some employees that absolutely were at the top of the ranges. So they would not be in compliant with the policy if those were approved.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Hearing none, we have a motion by Mr. Fiorello, seconded by Carrie Feather. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it 7-0. Next is public comment. If there's anyone here from the public that would like to speak, please state your name and address for the record. I don't see anyone on the list here. Anyone that want to speak can speak out right now. Make yourself known. I see Mr. Vecchio, Jen Clark, Deb Malcolm is on here, plus the members of who were here from the school committee and administration. Is there anyone that would like to address the school committee and the fiscal finance subcommittee at this time? Okay, hearing no one, Mr. Chandler, no one's making themselves known.
No, they're not.
Okay, we need a motion to adjourn at 6:48 PM.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Collins,
Second.
second by Mrs. Rogalski. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Ayes have it 7-0. Carrie, I will take care of the minutes for this meeting tonight. Get them
Thank
sent
you.
in. All right, we're all set. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
Have a good night.
Night.